Hi guys, welcome back to Pilates by Eden. We'll be doing another mat session today, about 30 to 40 minutes. And all you're gonna need is a mat. And we're gonna place our mat up against a wall or a chair or a couch so that you can use your hands on it for a little bit of balance work to begin with. And we have Michelle here to demo our Pilates today. So thanks for coming. So we're gonna start with standing footwork. You can decide whether you want to face the wall and bring both hands onto the wall, or you can turn sideways and just balance with one hand. So Michelle's going to choose what's best for her. And she's going to anchor down with her parallel foot. So making sure the ankles are directly underneath the hips and arms are just going to dangle by your side. And forget about the wall for just a moment while we find a few breaths in. Expanding through your ribs laterally. And exhale, just letting your muscles rest down over your skeleton. So imagine as if you have a balloon inside your chest, and as you breathe in, you can imagine the balloon expanding with air. And as you exhale, it's slowly losing its air. 2 more breaths. And just kind of taking note of where your body rises. And as you exhale, trying to let all of the air out. Last one, this time adding a look to the ceiling as we breathe in. And exhale to nod the chin to the chest and look down the front of the body. Here you should feel the belly drawing in and slightly up. She's going to place one hand onto the wall. And we're going to start with standing footwork. So we're going to lift both heels as we find the toe balls. And we're going to do that just a few times to get our balance for a moment. 3 more. And 2. Getting tall through the crown as you lift up onto the toe ball and lower to rest. So this time as she rises with the heels, she's going to hold that lift. From here she's going to bend both knees just slightly, and she's going to lower the heels and then stand up tall. Right, so I'll talk you through it. So stand up tall, good, and lower the heels. Here we go again, lift the heels, bend the knees, lower the heels, and press to tall. And lift, and bend, and lower, and lift. Yep, and lift, and bend, and lower, and up. 2 more. Lift, and bend. Lower those heels, stand up tall with a flat foot. Last one. Lift, and bend, and lower, and lift. Awesome. So we're going to reverse that direction. Same idea. This time, keep the feet flat to begin, bend both knees. Roll your weight to the toe balls, lengthen on the toe ball with the heels lifted, and then lower back to flat. Here we go. Squat first, roll to toes, lengthen through your legs, and lower both heels. Squat, and roll, and lengthen, and lower. So those of you that are more advanced, if you want to take your hands off of the wall, you can feel free to use your own balance. Here we go. And squat. And roll. And lengthen. And lower. 2 more. Squat. And roll. And lengthen. And lower. Last one. And squat. And roll. And lengthen. And lower. Good job. Shake that out a little bit. And we're going to do that exact same set in a second position. So heels are going to click together, toes are going to externally rotate. Take a nice breath, get nice and tall. And from here we're going to lift both heels. They're going to separate naturally. We're going to bend the knees as they track out over the toes. And then we're going to lower the heels to a flat foot and stand up tall. And again, lift. And bend. And lower. And lengthen up. Good. Continue there to roll to the toe balls, lifting the heels. Bend the knees, lower heels, and lengthen up. 2 more. And lift. And bend. And lower. And lengthen. Last one. And heels. And knees. And heels. And tall. Good. We're going to reverse that pattern. Take it the other direction. Start with a flat foot squat, knees track out to the toes for a bend. It's as if you're standing against a wall, so we're not leaning forward. Roll to the toe ball, lengthen through the leg, and relax down through the heels. Squat first, and roll. And lengthen, and lower, good. And squat, and roll, and lengthen, and lower. 2 more. To squat, roll, lengthen, and lower. Last one. Squat, and roll, and lengthen. You got it, and lower. Good job. So if you guys get all mixed up, it's okay. We're just trying to get those ankles and knees and hips all in alignment and moving to warm up. So our last set is an external rotation with a wider stance. Once again, place your hand on the wall if you need it, or use your own balance if you feel like you have that under control. You're gonna go a little wider. And from there, same idea. We're gonna lift both heels. Bend the knees. This one can be a little deeper because the legs are wide. Lower the heels as best you can and lengthen up through the spine. Here we go. And lift those heels. Bend the knees, lower, and lift. And heels, knees, and lower, and up. There you go. 3 more. And heels, and knees, and lower, and lift. Toe balls first. Bend the knees, track over toes, lower, and lengthen. Last one, lift, and bend, and lower, and lengthen. Last one, and lift, and bend, and lower, and lengthen. Nice breath in at the top. We're gonna reverse that pattern. Take your squat first. Nice flat feet. Roll to the toe balls, lengthen through the legs, and lower to rest. And squat, and roll, and lengthen, and lower. Beautiful. And squat, and roll, and lengthen, and lower. 2 more. And squat, and roll, and lengthen, and lower. Last one. And squat, roll, lengthen, and lower. Very good. So we're going to come back to a parallel position, and we'll just do a few arm circles before we move on to the floor. Inhale as the arms gently rise up towards the ears. Circle the arms out and about, and back to the sides. 2 more. Inhaling up, allow the ribs to stay melting down. Feel the movement through the shoulders as the chest remains open. Exhale as the arms come back to the body. Last one. Inhale, reach. Circle, and exhale. From here, she's going to flip those palms to face her body, and they're going to dangle right in front of you. She's going to start to nod the chin. We're just do a basic roll down. She's going to nod the chin, look down the front of her body, draw her belly in and up. Arms begin to dangle from the shoulder line, trying to create as much flexion through the upper back before moving on to the mid back, nice and slow, and just kind of checking in with your spine. Resting at the bottom, just have a big breath in. Exhale drives the belly and ribs up to the ceiling as you restack the spine 1 little vertebra at a time. And 1 more time. So actually what we're going to do is take this roll down against the wall. So go ahead and bring your back to the wall. And this can be quite a challenge. So some of us have booties and it pushes us off the wall, but it's a really good challenge. She has the parallel foot. She's going to do the exact same roll down. A nice nod of the chin, lifting the belly in and up, and a slow roll down. So some of you might find that spot where the booty kicks you off of the wall, and you might be able to readjust your position in relation to the wall, but it's really nice to feel that guide behind you, and it'll create more flexion through your spine. Breath in at the bottom, exhale rolls you back up, and resting the shoulders at the very top. Coming nice and tall, press the back of your head into the wall. And Michelle's gonna do 1 more, but I'm gonna challenge her. So we're gonna scoot your heels back just about 1 inch. And now you're gonna notice how that changes her roll down, and she's gonna have to kind of stop and find an extra exhale to get all the way down. Here we go. Exhale as she nods the chin to look. Lifting through the belly and ribs. And she's gonna find that spot where she has to work really hard. Right about there, and she makes it. Good job. Nice breath at the bottom. Exhale, rolls her back up. That change it for you a little bit?
Yes.
Yes, very good. Okay, so you can practice that on your own, on the wall, anytime you need, just to wake up in the morning and get yourself moving. It's a really great exercise. We're gonna bring it down to the mat. So she's gonna start on her back, lying down. Your head can be on this side. And just to adapt to being into the floor, she's gonna bring both knees into her chest, give herself a nice hug. And as she exhales, letting her back get nice and flat into the mat. Bringing the feet back to the floor, nice and flat. Here she wants to think about her alignment so that her heels are aligned with her sit bones. She can feel a nice neutral tailbone where it's nice and flat. A little space between the low back and the mat. Chest is open and the palms are gonna flip up. One more breath in here. And then she's gonna find a tabletop with just a single leg. She's gonna begin to flex and point through that ankle a few times. We've already mobilized through the ankle, so this should feel really good, getting a little bit more into the shin and calf, creating a circle now with that ankle. Get all those pops and cracks out of there. There was one. And a reverse of that circle to move the other direction. Try to be really accurate with the circle so the ankle gets full mobility in each direction. She's gonna pause with a nice soft ankle, and as she breathes in, she's gonna extend the leg to the mirror. And as she exhales, she's gonna bring that knee back up over the hip. So we're just moving here through the hip, a few gentle movements. And what you wanna pay attention to is as the leg extends, the low back's not lifting up off of the floor. So drawing the ribs down as you lengthen through the leg. She's gonna add a flex and a point. She's gonna point to extend the leg, pointing away from the body, and flex as she draws the knee back up over the hip. Two more. Point to breathe in. Exhale, bringing it back with a nice flexed foot. Last one. Center here, pause. You're just gonna kick the leg to the ceiling with that flexed foot. Just try to get it nice and straight and then back to tabletop. Just a bend and a straighten, that's all. Inhale, reach. Exhale to bend. Inhale, reach. Exhale to bend. Two more, just lengthening through the back of the leg as she drives the heel to the ceiling. Last one. She's gonna hold that position there, clasp onto the back of her leg, and pull that straight leg towards her. You can either leave your head resting on the mat or rise up like Michelle did if she needed a little more space. Just pull that leg in for a stretch. Every exhale, you're giving a little bit more of a pull so that you can really get that muscle to relax. Just gonna rest down and bring that tabletop to rest. Left leg comes on up, take a breath. We're gonna flex through the ankle and bend through the knee, right there, and we're gonna flex and point through that ankle a few times. And circle. And even when you're not working really hard, try to keep your breath connected to your movement the entire workout. Reverse in that direction. And while you're circling through the ankle, that knee stays nice and fixed, resting over the hip. Pause with a soft ankle and extend as you breathe in, lengthening through the leg. Now here you can also decide how low the leg goes. The lower it goes, the more of a challenge it is. So you could certainly extend up at an angle if it feels better for you. Adding a point this time as she extends, lengthen through the top of the leg, and flex as she tabletops. For 3, and 2. Last one. Tabletop to pause. Keep the flexed ankle, extend the leg to the ceiling, reaching the heel away, and back to tabletop. And lengthen. Here's 3. And 2. Last one, she's gonna hold the straight leg, roll up, clasp onto the back of it, and pull it towards her. Driving the heel away as the toes draw down. Try to keep a nice open chest if your head is up off of the ground. And if your neck is bothering you, once again, rest your head on the mat. Exhale, pull it in. And slowly bringing that leg back to the mat. Great. So we're going to float the arms to the ceiling. The palms are going to face the mirror. Our heels once again are lined up with our sit bones, and we're gonna prep for our bridge series. She's gonna start to rock her pelvis gently forward and backward. So here's where you're gonna notice the space between the low back and the mat change. As she tucks her pelvis towards her chin, you're gonna feel the low back press into the mat. As she releases the pelvis, you might find a little space between the low back, and that's okay. We're just trying to find the mobility of our pelvis. She's using her exhale as she tucks, and she's inhaling as she releases. It's not something you guys can see very clearly, but I want you to feel a little massage of the tailbone just from the weight of your body, rocking your pelvis forward and backward. And she's gonna pause in a neutral position, which is nice and flat tailbone on the mat. And from there, she's gonna try to rock her pelvis the other direction, which is quite a challenge. So without hiking the hip up in towards the ribs, she's gonna dip to the east and west, right? So the pelvis is gonna rock the other direction. And it's quite a challenge to do. You wanna try to keep your knees as fixed as you possibly can, but it's that range of motion that we're not so familiar with. So it's nice to play with it a little bit. Yeah, there you go, and a few more of each. And it starts to loosen up a little bit. One more of each. Good. And go back to your neutral position. So from there, we want to try to access all of these 4 points. We're going to call it north, south, east, and west. And she's basically going to create a circle with her pelvis on the mat. So it's a tuck. It's an east, it's a south, it's a west, and it's a north. Yeah, there you go, good. And so it might feel a little bit awkward, and this is something that's really nice to do with a little squishy ball underneath your sacrum. If you have one at home, you could try this exercise with that. And then she's gonna reverse the direction. I'm not gonna torture her too much more. And it's kind of nice to feel all the 4 directions. One more. And back to neutral and pause. Good, rock your knees a little bit side to side. Great, so while we have that same movement in our mind, we're gonna find our bridge. So you can rest her arms by your side or float her arms, whatever feels better. She's gonna tuck the tail into that and roll up into a bridge. Very good. So from here, we wanna keep the same idea in mind of the 4 directions. Without her hips lowering down, she's gonna tick a little bit to the left. She's gonna let both hips drop down about 1 inch and tick to the right. And then up. Good, and left. And down, and right, and up. So come to neutral right there, Michelle. And this time, as you're going side to side, try not to let the hips dip. So it's gonna kind of be like a typewriter to where it triggers on one side but doesn't dip side to side. Here we go, left, yes, and down, and right, and up. I saw you think confusion on that one. Left, and down, and right like a typewriter, yes, and up. 2 more, and left, and down, and right, and up. Last one, and left, and down. And now she's gonna start working the other direction. So she ticks gently to the right, and down, and left, and up. Good. So while she's gonna keep going, and while you're working through this exercise, think about keeping equal weight on your feet, and let the movement just be small. The space between rib and hip shouldn't change. And up. Good, down and left and up. One more, right, down, left, up, and center. Pause for a breath, but stay lifted in the bridge. Woo! So here she's gonna draw all of her weight into the heels as she lifts the toes. She's gonna keep your hips pressed in nice as high as you press into your heels, and then lower the toes to lift the heels. Just gonna spend a few seconds in each position, lowering the heels to lift the toes. And then gradually lowering the toes to lift the heels. From here, she's gonna flatten onto the mat with both feet. Inhale as the arms reach up overhead. They're gonna rest on the mat behind her. And she's gonna exhale and slowly articulate back to the mat, one little vertebra at a time. Great job. And from there, she's gonna roll onto her left side. We're gonna get into some sideline work. So she's gonna rest down on her left arm. You wanna make sure your hips are super stacked, your shoulders are stacked. And if you're a little bit taller, you might need to do a sideline series with a bent leg, and that is Michelle, so that might work better for her. And you could also bend the bottom leg if you feel like you need a little bit more support. So feel free to modify your position on the mat so that you get the most comfortable workout. She's gonna slowly lift the right leg up off the left. She's gonna pause there for a moment. And here's where you check in with your abdominals. It's kind of hard to find your abdominals on your sideline position, so she wants to feel a little lift of her side body up off of the mat. And how can she find that? Usually it happens with your exhale. She's gonna breathe in. You might feel your body press into the mat when you breathe in. But as you exhale, you wanna feel this gentle float up off of the mat, a lift of the pelvic floor, and a little space coming in between your body and the mat. She's gonna start with the teeniest, tiniest pulses of the right leg towards the ceiling and back down. Teeny tiny. Pulse, pulse, rest. Pulse, pulse, rest. 6 and 5 and 4, 3, 2, last one. So pause right there at hip height. Keep the leg lifted, and she's gonna imagine someone's pulling on her leg. As if I was pulling on her leg here. What it's gonna do is create space between her waist and ribs. So we're gonna leave that space nice and open. She's gonna kick the right leg forward as if she's gonna kick a soccer ball. And as she kicks forward, that space on the waist stays there. And then exhale back through the heel. As she comes back, she's gonna let the hip open just a little bit across midline. Inhale as the leg kicks gently forward. And exhale back. So some of you might get that leg up to a 90 degrees, some of you might not. But if you're really paying attention to the space here, it might not quite get there. And you'll notice how Michelle's supporting herself in the front with her right hand. You can also float it to the ceiling if you're more advanced. Great. And back, open the hip across the midline. Also, as the leg is kicking forward, you can feel the sit bone or the booty bone reaching away, and that's going to help you maintain that length through the waist. Last one, she's going to pause as she kicks it forward. Wherever she's been stopping, a little more, right about there. And she's going to pulse that leg to the ceiling at an angle. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Kick it all the way back, cross the midline, come center, and rest it down. Whew. She's gonna fold the right leg forward in front of her. And then both arms are gonna come in front of the face, palms are on top of each other. Taking a nice breath in here. As she exhales, the right arm slides onto the left as she opens the chest to the ceiling and gets a nice rotation stretch. You can even let the right arm rest down and you'll get more, yes. A nice breath into that twisted rotation of the spine and gradually work your way back. This time we're gonna go into bent knees, and she can rest her head back on her left arm. Knees are gonna bend, heels are gonna stay clicked together. We're just gonna do a basic clam for a moment. She's gonna open at the knee and keep those heels glued together. And exhale to lower. So as she opens and closes here, she's once again trying to maintain that space between her body and the mat. And she also wants to open the knee only as far as she can keep the hips stacked. So she's paying attention to what happens to her body as she moves. Good, and these sometimes they feel pretty easy when you first start, but they definitely add up. It's a great thing to do when you're lying around the house. But for this class, we'll just do 4 more. And 3. And 2. Last one. She's gonna float the whole leg up this time, ungluing those heels. She's gonna keep that nice bent knee, so it's basically a tabletop. And she's gonna focus on her kneecap here and drawing circles as if she's gonna trace a tiny watermelon with her knee. And as she moves, she's trying to keep that wobble to a minimum. keep her breath connected and keep the length through the waist. And 3, these are tough. 2, and 1, reversing that pattern. This is a better way to do circles for the long legs that you were talking about. 6, 5, but they hurt nonetheless. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower that leg to rest and pat out that booty cheek if you need to. Great. So I'm gonna have her push herself up to seated so she can still face you. We'll go the other side. Yeah. Resting on her right arm, legs are nice and long, hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked. You got that support on the front with the left arm or floated to the ceiling. Floating the leg up to hip height to pause for just a moment and think about your breath and finding that space between the abs and the mat. So just give yourself a second to think about that. And then you got the double pulses here. And pulse, pulse, rest. Pulse, pulse, rest. Good. Little rest. 4, 3, 2, last one. Pause at hip height. Imagine that length coming first. I'm pulling on the leg. That's going to help keep the length and get that width here. Kick the leg gently forward as the booty bone draws away, and then back. Ooh, she was like, I don't want to give you so much on this side. There you go, right there, and back. Good. Exhale back, open the hip just slightly. Beautiful. She's doing a great job maintaining that space on the top. Here's 3. Exhaling back through the heel. And 2. And last one. She's going to kick the leg forward to that paused position again. She wants to forget about this one, but I won't let her. Nice and straight at an angle. And a little pulse right there. For 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Leg comes back center and to rest. Woo! So we're going to start with that leg coming up in the front to bend so you can rest, but the bottom leg will stay straight. We're going to do that rotation stretch. So bottom leg's nice and straight. The bottom, yes. And then this one comes all the way forward to rest on the mat. Nice breath in there. Exhale as you glide that palm and open the chest. Great. Should feel really good. A nice breath to settle into the stretch. Let the rotation happen. And make sure you're using your exhale to come out of the stretch. She's going to find both knees bent in that nice rested position on her right arm again. And start with the basic clamp. Heels or ankles glued together, open and close at the knee. Good. Connecting your breath to the movement. And when you're not sure whether to breathe in or out, just breathe nice and deep through your exercise. Good, and 4 more. You can do as many of these as you can tolerate. 3 more. And 2. Last one. She's going to float the whole leg up, and she's going to focus on that kneecap again. Imagine the watermelon right in front of you and trying to be really accurate with this circle, making sure it's not a square, but it feels really circular so that we know how it translates into the hip. Trying to keep the wobble down to a minimum, and maybe you want to adjust the size of your circle if you feel yourself wobbling around a little too much. 3, 2, and 1. Reverse that direction. Good. 4, 3, 2, last one, and lower to rest. Great job. Add it out if you need to. Take a breath in. And then we're going to wiggle our way onto our bellies. So we're gonna start with the arms, that are goalpost arms or a cactus arm, to where you feel the elbows align with the armpits. And you're gonna rest your forehead down on the mat or let it hover just slightly off the mat, it's up to you. Your legs will be a little wider than parallel. Yes, and exactly that. We're gonna rock our booty a little bit side to side. Nice big breath in. And exhale, see if you can soften through the chest and the upper back. Kind of bringing that wobble to a still. This time we're gonna switch our breath pattern and inhale as we exert. So she's gonna keep her forearms and palms on the mat. And she's gonna inhale as she presses into the arms and just gently shines her heart towards the edge of her mat. So she's focusing on keeping the chest open. The scapula is going to draw down into her back pockets, and then she's going to lower back down. Inhale as you lift up. She's focusing on keeping this low back fairly open and trying to fold higher in her back, and lower to rest. So the higher she comes up, the lower she folds in the back. And some of you kind of feel like you want to go really hard with your neck extension, but try to do less neck and more into the spine, the mid-spine. So that one's a little smaller. You'll notice how her low back stays nice and open and she's getting the fold higher in the back. So you can play with this. Everybody's spine is a little bit different, but most of us need to mobilize here in the upper zone. So you can play with it and start to just feel your vertebra moving a little bit higher in the back. Last two. And those of you that are more advanced, you can do the same exercise with floating the arms off of the mat. Maybe Michelle will do that on the last one. Here's her inhale with a float. And lower to rest. So we're going to continue with that same idea, adding some movements here. She's going to float the arms and the upper body into her extension as she inhales. She's going to exhale as she reaches the arms towards the mirror. She's going to inhale to draw the elbows back to where they were and lower to rest. And that's our pattern. Nice breath in. Float. Extend. Draw them back and lower to rest. 3 more. Here's a float. Lift. And reach. And back. And down. Last 2. And on this last one, she's going to bring both legs with her when she floats up. She's going to extend. Going to draw those elbows back in and lower to rest. Good. Arms and legs all together. Lift up and lengthen. Draw them in and rest. 2 more. And a float. Feel your pelvis pressing into the mat. Try to get the thigh off of the mat as best you can. And last one. As her arms reach overhead, she's going to pause there. And even though the arms are overhead, we still want to keep a nice open trap. From here, she's going to begin to flutter kick her feet and pat her hands. And she's going to try to stay lifted as if she's swimming somewhere. And 8, 7, good. 6, 5, 4, good. Keep that neck length. 2, pause, and rest down. So a lot of back muscles are working there. We're going to draw our booty to our heels for a child's pose. You can extend your arms way in front of you and just reach that tailbone away from your head. And then she's going to come right up to quadruped. So she's on her hands and knees, and you guys can modify. You're at home, so I'm sure you have pillows, or if you want to roll up your mat, make any adjustments that you need to feel comfortable. She's going to start to play with her weight here a little bit. So right now she could probably feel her equally weighted over the knees and the hands. And I want her to start to move her weight around from her knees to her hands, kind of creating this nice circle pattern with the neutral spine. So nice and flat from head to tail, and just playing with your weight over the 4 points a few times. And then she's going to reverse that circle and move her weight the other direction. Try not to lock out the elbows or sink down through the traps. And then coming to neutral, she's going to curl those toes under. She's going to walk her hands a little farther away. And when I count to 1, she's going to torpedo out into a long, beautiful plank. In 3, 2, 1. Press and float. Very good. So from there, she just wants to make sure she's nice and level. And some of you that are still trying to work on your plank, you might be a little higher, just making sure you're not sagging through the low back. And here we just get to breathe. And so I'm going to throw out a bunch of options that you can do in this plank, and Michelle can choose what she wants and you can choose what you want at home. You can stay here and just breathe. You can flex and point through your ankles a few times. You can draw one knee in towards your chest and extend it back behind you if that feels good. Great. And rest that leg to do the other side. Pull it in and extend. Pull it in and extend. Last one, pull it in and extend. Lower to rest. Good. Child's pose right there. I want you to go ahead and roll out your wrists here for a moment. Good, and we're going to go into a modified plank position. So she's still going to be on her hands, but also on her knees with uncurled toes. Yes. And then she's going to walk her hands a little farther towards the edge of her mat, and then draw her hips towards the mat as her chest comes up and over the fingers. So if your booty is poking out in this position, you haven't quite got to the modified plank yet, so play with it for a second until you figure it out, and make sure you're not going to sink down through the traps here or through the shoulder blades. She's pressed out of her hands. Hands are right underneath the shoulders, looks good. So here we're going to go into a modified push-up. So I want her elbows to track back towards her body rather than out to the sides. And that might vary for everybody. You might be able to get an inch bend, you might go all the way to the mat, it doesn't matter, just do what feels good. Michelle's gonna give us 4. She's gonna bend elbows back to the body. Yep, and then press right back up, good. And 3. Exhale to come up for 2. Last one, and hold it there, right. So modified plank can get a little harder when you add a push-up. It doesn't have to be that big, do whatever feels good. Hold for 5, 4. She's long from her head all the way to the back of her knee. 3, 2, and lower to rest. Good job. So our last option we're going to do for our plank series will be on the forearms. So she's going to walk out to a forearm plank. And for those of you at home, you could be on your knees or your toes. Michelle can choose what she likes. There you go, good. And then nod that chin. Nice. So we're going to imagine that there's a little ball here underneath her, right underneath the pelvis. And she's going to rock her hips to one side of that ball. She's going to come up and over the ball to find the other side. And once again, this can vary in size. It doesn't have to be very big. Exhale up, inhale dip. You got it, Michelle, 3 more. Good, last one. Pause centered, teeny tiny pulses to the ceiling with the hips. Here we go, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, pause for 5, 4, 3, big breath, and lower to rest. Great job. So you can do any combination of those planks at home, even if you're not doing a video, just do a plank or 2 here and there. It's really gonna help out, keep you moving. So we're gonna come to a seated position. Yes, and turn to face your mat this direction if you don't mind. And then the arms are going to come out in front. We're going to keep those knees bent, but find a nice space between the legs. There you go. And let the shoulders rest down. Nice breath. And we're just going to find the tuck of the tail, start to slowly roll back. as if you've got to punch into the tummy, but notice how she's not closing through the chest, keeping the chest open. Pause where you feel challenged and roll right back up. Good. So some of you might just be searching for the shape of the tail on the mat. Other people might go as low into the low back or even all the way to the shoulder blades. It's really up to you. So let's even see what Michelle thinks. She's doing the tuck of the tail. I can see her tailbone's probably flat right about there, yeah? And then all the way back up. So you can choose how far you go down based on how much work you need today. Yeah, and then as she gets warmed up, she's able to go a little bit farther. She wants to keep actively pressing down through the feet so they don't float. Exhale to curl. And a slow roll back up. Really nice. Just gonna add a little oblique work. So we're gonna do that same roll down. When she gets to that spot where she's been pausing, she's gonna reach the right arm out to the side as she inhales. She's gonna look for it and exhale, bring it back as she rolls back up to her sit bones. So you get to do one side at a time. Here we go. Exhale to tuck and roll, roll, roll. Nice and even down the center. Pause, reach, look at the hand, and all the way back up. Great. We'll do a few more of these. Inhale, open. Exhale, back. And the slower they are, the more work you're going to get. So you can always adjust the speed of your movement based on how much work you need. And also based on the speed of your breath, right? So if your breath is nice and slow, your movement should match. Last one. All the way up center. This last one, we're going to take it down the middle to even ourselves out. Go ahead, one more down the middle. Nope, just to where you've been stopping. She's like, please let me lay down. Stop there. We're going to lift both arms to our ears as you breathe in. Exhale, lower. 3 more. Get a little shake. Reach and lower. Last 2. Reach and lower. Last 1. Reach and lower all the way up to her sit bones. And finally, she gets to roll all the way down to her mat. As slow as she can go, though. So imagine someone's pulling on your fingertips. Pulling, 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 slow as you can go. Excellent. She's going to extend her legs long down her mat, let them shake a little bit side to side, and just be happy she's lying down. So from there, she's going to bring both knees back into her chest, and she's going to start to do a little rolling like a ball. Now, once again, if you're just on a mat on a hardwood floor or something and your spine kind of protrudes out a little bit, it might not be so comfortable for you. So either add an extra mat or skip the rolling like a ball. You could also just go side to side if the roll doesn't work for you. So she's just going to do a little roll forward and backward, nice and gentle. I'm just going to drive her exhale back as she comes up towards her sit bones. I'm just going to use it as a decompression of the spine for 3, 2, and last one. She's going to lie down and rest. Great. So we're going to prep for our single leg stretch. So she's going to bring both legs into tabletop. The palms are going to come to her right shin as she extends the left. You'll nod your chin and roll all the way up. So it'll be more like in a tabletop, and your hands will be on the outside. Exactly. So right there, and once again, you can lower the leg as far as it's comfortable for you. So she's going to stay up, 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 up as she breathes in, and as she exhales, she's going to draw the belly down, switch the legs without changing the shape through her spine, and switch. And switch. Trying to stay nice and stable, and don't lose her curl forward, and switch. And 4, and 3, and 2. We're building. She's creating a nice strong foundation. Last one. Now we're going to pick it up. Here we go. 4, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pause. Both knees come in. Squeeze nose to knees and lower to rest. Very good. So let the bottom of the feet come together, knees open up to the sides just to get a little opening through the inner thighs. And we're going to finish with a double leg stretch. So just an advancement from the last exercise that we did. She's going to find tabletop with both legs. And this time she can clasp onto the back of the thigh, nod the chin, and roll that whole upper body up off of the mat. Yes, right there. Yep, right there. Where you're good. So your low back's nice and flat, right? Nice breath, chest is open. Exhale, stay there. Just keep that curl. Notice the shape that you have, and that's the shape that you want to maintain. Arms are going to come out to the sides. Legs are going to extend out as she inhales. Arms out here. And exhale, scoop them up and grab those knees back in. Good. Inhale, open. Exhale, scoop, nod, nod, nod. Beautiful. Inhale, 4. Squeeze. And 3. She's making this look easy. And 2. Good. Last 1. Squeeze for 5, 4, 3, 2, and rest. Great job. So we'll let both knees fall to one side. Just get a little rotation. Just gonna look the opposite direction. Take a breath. And find the other side. Just gonna roll to one side, push yourself up to seated. Just gonna finish with the mermaid stretch, so finding a crisscross, or whatever that is. Right hand comes to the mat, left arm floats, and she's gonna exhale over towards the mirror, bending the right arm. She can do 2 more on her own. And last one. Just gonna switch her Z sit and do the other direction. Right arm floats for a breath, and exhale over. Last 2. And last one. Great, thank you, Michelle, for your help. I hope you guys are staying happy and healthy, and make sure you know that you can do these videos anytime you have time at home. Take care.